What happens when the thing that you've been training all your life for, the superhero mantle that you're going to take on and use to benefit the world and help humanity, gets taken away from you in a single second? Everybody called him Torchy, even though his name was actually Little Flame. He'd been trained from birth to supersede Supernova, the superhero who controlled fire, heat, and energy. And every day, Little Flame woke up before sunrise and went through his flame kata, training to use fire when he had the gift from Supernova. Supernova was old, almost 80 years old, and he hadn't given up the mantle yet. Every night when they finished their patrol around 4 a.m., ready for 2 hours of sleep, Little Flame would ask Supernova, "Is today the day?" And Supernova would shake his head. No. After receiving the same answer, Little Flame watched the sunrise from the top of a building. He thought about if he would ever be worthy enough of the flame. He grit his teeth and dedicated the 2 hours he was supposed to sleep to practicing even more. One day I'll get it, Little Flame said to himself. One day, very soon. When he woke up and went through the motions of his flame kata, Supernova was up early, watching him. His eyes narrowed. Was today the day that Little Flame would finally become Supernova? Supernova created a giant ball of flame and flung it at Supernova as fast as he could. Supernova barely dodged out of the way. Too slow, Supernova said. He created another giant ball of fire and threw it at Supernova, but this time Supernova was ready. He used his flame kata to redirect the fire straight back towards Supernova. In a second, Supernova caught the flame and turned it into a giant ball of sun over his head. Little Flame took a step back. The training grounds were entirely encompassed by the fire. Supernova's eyes glowed with majesty, and he looked down. This is the power I offer. This is the power I'm training you for. He flung the giant ball of flame at Little Flame, and Little Flame had nowhere to run. There was no redirecting the sun falling down towards his face. The only thing he could do was put his hands up and wait. The fire extinguished. Supernova watched Little Flame with a disappointed expression. "Hey," Little Flame said. He went towards where Supernova was, leaving the training camp. "I'm ready for the flame. You know I am. You should give it to me right now." "You need another year of training," Supernova said, not listening to Little Flame's cries. "Meet me for patrol in an hour," he said. Little Flame put on street clothes, the clothes that made him look like a normal person, and walked around the streets of the city. He looked in the window of a bar and saw people his age, enjoying drinks, laughing, watching a sports game. How different they were from him in his single-minded pursuit of being the next Supernova. He looked down at his hands, burned from training, and he wondered, for the first time in his life, if it was really worth it. His communicator beeped. "Little Flame," Supernova said. His voice was full of fear. "What?" "Come to the tallest building right now," Supernova said. "I need..." He struggled to admit it. "Help." Little Flame went as fast as he could, jumping on top of subway cars, using every bit of his training of momentum and movement to get to the top of the tallest building as quickly as possible. He ran up the rooftop stairs, opened the door, and was horrified. Supernova was lying there, completely drained. And before he even said it, Little Flame knew. The flame that Supernova carried, the flame that Little Flame was supposed to have that would turn him into the next Supernova, was stolen. "Why?" Little Flame said, running to Supernova. He was breathing heavy now. With no flame inside, he wouldn't last much longer. Supernova looked Little Flame in the eyes. He breathed out a shaky breath. "You've deserved it for a long time." He looked at Little Flame in the eyes. "I'm sorry I was so hard on you." Little Flame's eyes filled with tears. "Master, Supernova, we can get you to the hospital. Supernova faded into the darkness. He didn't know who stole the flame. He didn't know who killed his master. But he looked up at the uncaring stars, the uncaring moon above him, and he made a vow. "I'm gonna kill you for that. I'm gonna kill you and take back what's mine." Little Flame monitored the city's communications. He knew somebody with Supernova's powers would appear on the radar sooner rather than later. And after a truck carrying valuable metal was broken into using some sort of flame, and the driver was covered in third-degree burns, Little Flame knew. The person who had Supernova's powers was a villain. The truck driver, covered in burns, was blinded by his bandages in the hospital. It was easy for Little Flame to slip into the room. What did he look like? What did he look like, the man who robbed you? Little Flame said. Look, I already talked to the police, the driver said. Little Flame put his hand onto the driver's burned arm and pressed in. The driver screamed out in pain. Help! Little Flame covered his mouth. You're gonna tell me exactly what he looked like, or we're gonna have problems, Little Flame said. He whispered into his ear. I'm so much worse than he ever was. Don't even doubt, Little Flame said. He was just a kid, 16, 17 years old. He said he was gonna sell the tech at the port, but Little Flame didn't listen. Little Flame was already gone. He saw the Nova Flame at the port from far in the distance. He sprinted as fast as he could, using his training to grapple closer and closer and closer. Questions flooded Little Flame's mind. Supernova was so powerful. How could he be killed by somebody with no training? How could somebody steal the flame without being given it willingly? But when he saw the thief with the giant ball of fire, his stomach dropped. The thief was laughing, sadistically laughing, because it wasn't just fire the thief controlled, but water as well, turning it into steam high above the thieves. It was a superhuman, a water superhuman. All will bow down to Vapor Man, the villain said. The thugs on the dock looked at each other, nervous. They were unpowered, but they saw the display above them. Supernova thought he was untouchable, Vapor Man said, but his little ideas about honor and not killing made it easy to best him, Vapor Man said. He gestured in front of him to the thing that he stole from the truck. Cables, golden cables, running down. Now if you idiots don't load the boat in the next 5 minutes, Vapor Man put his hands out, one side and the other side. He blasted fire at one thug and water at the other thug. He laughed maniacally as one of them covered his face from burns and the other one was drowning on dry land. That was enough, Little Flame thought. He threw a baton in the other direction from where he was hiding. Vapor Man turned around in a split second, and Little Flame sprinted towards Vapor Man, past the terrified guards. Vapor Man turned around to look at Little Flame just in time for Little Flame to jump up and jump kick Vapor Man in the face, kicking him down towards the ground. You killed my master, Little Flame said. You have something that doesn't belong to you. He expected Vapor Man to wince, to cringe, but Vapor Man was trained. He shifted his weight from the jump kick and blasted water and fire straight at Little Flame's face. If it weren't for Little Flame's training, he would have burned or drowned on dry land, but he redirected the fire towards the water, creating a giant cloud of steam. You're his little sidekick, aren't you? Vapor Man said, looking for Little Flame in the fog. Did you know he was crying about you when I took his powers away? Little Flame punched at him in the fog, but Vapor Man dodged, controlling the steam to hide his appearance, and shot a fireball, burning Little Flame's side. Little Flame winced out in pain. He told me something else too, Vapor Man said, that you were never strong enough to beat him. He was just waiting until someone strong enough to beat him could take his flame. He didn't care if it was a superhero or a super villain, Vapor Man said. Liar, Little Flame said. He lunged at Vapor Man from under, trying to grab his legs, but Vapor Man simply chuckled, kicking him in the face and shooting a ball of fire directly at Little Flame. Little Flame had to roll out of the way, surrounded by mist. He had no idea where Vapor Man was. He was in over his head. Was he right? Was he truly too weak to understand? But then he remembered what Supernova told him right before he died, how he was supposed to wield it. And most importantly, he remembered, if he beat Vapor Man, he could wield the flame. He charged with all of his might at Vapor Man. Vapor Man shot a ball of fire, but Little Flame wasn't afraid. He walked straight through the flame, not caring that it was burning his flesh. Vapor Man panicked and shot water at him, but it was too late. Little Flame punched Vapor Man in the jaw, sending him falling to the ground. I never needed fire anyway, Little Flame said. I told you I was gonna kill you for killing him, and now I'm gonna do it. Vapor Man chuckled. He tried to put on a brave face, but Little Flame kicked down, crunching into his face, breaking Vapor Man's nose. Vapor Man screamed out. His superpowers made him weak, soft. Little Flame was faster, his burned face coming out of the steam. The thugs fired guns wildly, and Little Flame dove down towards the ground. Wait, Vapor Man said, trying to get control, but it was too late. It was absolute, abject chaos. The type of chaos that Supernova tried to eradicate, but Supernova was gone. Only Little Flame remained. You want to hide behind your mist, Little Flame said, or you want to face me? Vapor Man pushed the steam to the side, showing Little Flame standing in front of him. You know I have fire and water, right? Vapor Man said, blood dripping down from his broken nose over his lips. Little Flame smiled. Yeah, that's what I'm counting on. Vapor Man conjured a giant ball of sunlight far above him. Little Flame took a step back. The same ball of sunlight he couldn't dodge earlier. He couldn't redirect. Vapor Man laughed maniacally. You don't even have powers, do you? I mean, seriously, you thought you could win when I... But the ball got too big. He tried to redirect it with water, but Little Flame looked, smiling, down. You know how many years of training it took Supernova to control a ball of fire that big? Vapor Man kneeled down towards the ground. The ball of fire was crushing him, burning him. He tried to shoot water towards it, but the fire powers he stole from Supernova were too strong. Help me! He turned toward Little Flame. Help me! Little Flame watched Vapor Man be crushed under the giant ball of flame, and he just smiled. I'd help you if I could, but I'm just not strong enough. Vapor Man was crushed under the giant ball of flame, and Little Flame felt the energy of Supernova's powers rushing from his corpse into his chest. He looked down at his burned flesh and thought about all he paid to get the fire in his blood. Was it all worth it? Little Flame asked himself. He looked out at the horizon as the sun rose, and Little Flame felt incredibly alone. No heroes, no villains left, just him and the flame inside. And Little Flame wasn't sure. Was it worth it? Was it worth it in the end?